Again, I have my good friend and partner over here at Leaf Jumper for the last couple of years, co-founder of Gateway, Ayan here. Ayan, how you doing today, sir?
Doing well, Jordan. How are things going for the team? I know things are probably really hectic right now with the launch of the loyalty pass and some of the new bridges you guys got going on.
Yeah, things are going good, man. Things are going good. It's been quite the exciting start to the year, first quarter, lots of shipping, and pretty excited to get this loyalty pass out with you guys.
Likewise, yeah, no, very excited. I can see the community is filing in here, which is amazing. I see Jumper has been really building out one of the best products in the space. A bridge aggregator is always necessary, and you guys are one of my favorites. Been using you guys since for about a year and a half now, so even before you guys became Jumper, so it's been fun.
Yeah, that's when you know you're really an OG. Like, if you were here before we were Jumper, you've been around for a while, and because of that, we've actually issued a transfer 2.xyz PDA. We've realized that some of the points allocated to that PDA could represent our OGs a little bit better. So the team is in discussion right now on how we can increase those points for you guys because you guys have been here for a couple of years and you probably should get some more XP. So, community, we've heard you and looking forward to giving you some more XP for the OGs. For the OGs, if you don't know what Transfer 2.xyz is, it's basically the brand of jumper before we made the jump into jumper. Of course, Ion was there a long time ago.
That's sweet. No, that's always great to be able to give back to the earliest degens who were aping into your product before things actually became really clear. So kudos to you guys for working on that. And of course, if we can help out in any way, let us know.
100%, 100%. Well, hey, it's good to have you here on stage, Ion. Why don't you just let the community know a little bit more about you, what you're working on at Gateway at the moment, a little bit about some of your experience in the past. I'm sure they'd like to deep dive into who is Ion.
Yeah, absolutely. One of the co-founders here at Gateway. I focus mostly on our business development and partnership side of things. Prior to Gateway, I actually got into crypto back in around 2018 or so. So I've been in the space since then. Was working actually at the time, which was a security token offering company. So this was like the RWA narrative prior to becoming RWA. Worked with them for a couple years to help build out their pipeline, and then after that, joined a hedge fund called Visory Capital. Worked there for about a year to build out their thesis, and then from there, that's kind of the where I jumped into Gateway, reconnected with my co-founder Sinkat and a couple of other individuals. We started Gateway, and for us at the time, really, we were actually looking to build out a professional network that was focused on crypto. And our biggest thing was is like being able to utilize like cryptographic proofs and be able to make reputation into an asset. And we quickly realized that the underlying sort of foundation to be able to make that happen, where data is something that people could truly own, they can treat as a financial asset, it didn't exist. A lot of what we were looking at was DAOs and sort of this vision towards what could be, but the actual infrastructure to support reputation and creating a way for identity to be interoperable amongst different applications did not exist. And that's what led us to building out Gateway and creating this like sort of private data layer where users can take control of their reputation. Other organizations can go ahead and request, hey, like, hey, Jordan, I want to be able to understand what your activity on this application looks like. What's your KYC data? What's your, crypto degen score, etc. They can request any information like that. And then you as a user have full control over whether or not you want to share that data with that person. And then from there, the loop of incentives and rewards and things like that get to really exciting. So that's sort of a quick background on Gateway. If I was to give a quick one line summary, our goal here is to enable users to not only own their data, but be able to control access to that information and how their identity is being used across the web.
Yeah, I really like that, and it's been a pleasure just to see how Gateway has transitioned from having different quests and credentials to these private data assets, kind of giving users ownership over their data assets and how those can be consumed, how those are issued and consumed, and we can touch on that a little bit later. kind of speaks to how things have progressed on our journey with the loyalty pass with you guys. Of course, we were hosted on Try Odyssey in the previous season, and that was pretty sick and fun. And this season, we transitioned onto our own UI, which is pretty exciting as well. But I must add, still powered by Gateway, just on our own UI. So yeah, Ion, like maybe you can chat us through what season one leading into season two has looked like from Gateway's perspective and what excites you about the current setup.
Yeah, I think this setup is the way it should be, right? And I think this allows for LeFi and for the Jumper Exchange community to really be able to just use their favorite product and be able to see their reputation increase as they engage with it live. And that's been like sort of the goal for Gateway. So a lot of you probably remember, as Jordan alluded to, that we were on Try Odyssey, and my Gateway before was this sort of like credential place where you could earn and do a bunch of different quests, and you could see the loyalty pass itself. But long term for us, we didn't want that to be hosted on our front end. And long term for us, we really wanted to become sort of this middleware. In the background, it's powering a lot of these different applications. And LeFi really for us, or Jumper Exchange in this case, really for us was this first to market approach that we genuinely were very excited about because of the fact that it ties in two things. One, users degen sort of activity, and then two, the way that incentives work within crypto are really exciting. But there are so many ways for us to be able to reward users. Tokens are just part of that, but being able to unlock NFTs, being able to unlock unique access to different products, being able to actually increase your potential for like raffles and things like that. That's really what got us excited about like this gateway journey. So looking where we came from, where we were just like this sort of credential platform and quest platform for you guys, and now becoming this sort of full blown, let's say, I'd say the feel to the loyalty pass, where we're the infrastructure needed to actually build these sorts of complex relationships where partners can request info from your users and things like that. That's the dream, and I'm happy that we're able to actually live in the vision that we once had.
Yeah, for sure. It's nice to see it come to fruition. What so the one key thing is that these private data assets get issued to the user. Some may just think that it's just an NFT or some way for us to visualize their score on our UI as they build up their rank and different levels on the loyalty pass this season. But there's so much more. There's so much more to it. It's your encrypted data, which you get to where you get to choose to verify and allow to be consumed by some other partners, and that can have certain benefits. Like us at Jumper and LeFi, we when we started this a year ago, we never intended it to be just about points, but it was rather about fleshing out your digital identity and really making your on-chain footprint in our multi-chain ecosystem. It sounds like a lot of buzzwords, but what we're essentially trying to say is that each PDA that you have tells a bit of a story about who you are as an on-chain user. And it kind of extends into a narrative of who you are within our ecosystem. And that can have different perks and use cases, which is still being built out and still being developed. For example, you could have different rewards as time goes on based on which PDAs you hold or which level you are now. And DGuard is a good example of that. So they wanted to reward some VPN subscriptions to some of our top users from season one. We had a raffle on Galaxy, and it's pretty nice for different protocols to come to Jumper and want to engage with our community and ask us, hey, who are your key members? Who's on whose level? We want to incentivize that, and it's pretty cool. So yeah, Ian, maybe you can touch on a couple of different use cases for these private data assets, which on the one hand gives you a scoring system to be more than points for Jumper users, but it opens up a whole door of opportunities at the same time in terms of how they can be consumed.
Yeah, I think you just laid out the entire thesis for private data assets for everyone. That I couldn't have said it better myself. But I'll just quickly rehash a couple points here. And I don't think they're buzzwords. First of all, I think what you're saying is definitely true. Within a multi-chain world, especially as that becomes more and more prevalent with the growth of other layer twos and L1s that are coming to the ecosystem, your identity should not be limited to one specific chain. And it's definitely not limited also towards like one wallet. That's why for us, like the way that this sort of DID system that we've built out, it allows users to be able to associate these different types of wallets as well as all the different activity doing across multiple chains, because your identity, even the real world, is not limited to one specific application, right? Who you are on LinkedIn is very different from who you are on Twitter, which could be very different from who you are on Instagram. Your financial status for a lot of us degens is probably different on Coinbase than it is on, let's say, our banking accounts. And that's very different from what our crypto wallets look like. With the recent sort of meme coin craze, I'm sure if some of us saw the types of coins we were holding, we probably wouldn't be allowed to walk around in public. So that's like the thesis here is like you have all this variety of information that exists across all these different locations, and that defines who you are. But a lot of that information doesn't necessarily need to be on chain either, right? So when you asked about like the difference between PDAs and NFTs, the view here is that when you look at an NFT, all that metadata that's associated with the NFT oftentimes is made on chain. And also, the NFT itself can be transferable. Things like your identity is not transferable, right? You can't just I can't just send my social security number to Jordan tomorrow. And that's the same way I look at these private data assets, is that they're essentially tied to an individual. They're tied to that specific DID, and then that user itself can choose who they want to disclose information to. So, in a sense, that we're still using the blockchain to show that, hey, look, there is a data asset issued following a specific structure. So everyone be able to see that, let's say, Jumper Exchange created a data asset and it follows a certain schema, but they won't know exactly who it was sent to and what that information is unless I, as the user, Ayan, choose to share it with somebody. And again, this is part of our thesis for like you as a user need to have more control over the web. Like a sovereign web and this idea of what the internet should be is far different from what it has become, right? Just this week we saw Facebook and Netflix have that like, leaking hundreds of millions of users data to be able to like benefit from it for their streaming services. We want to make sure the user is able to control that information so that sort of situation never occurs, and that way we also have like a full trail of actions to be able to be like, all right, this is where it went wrong and this is like the bad player, the bad actor within the ecosystem.
Yeah, that Facebook Netflix thing was super crazy, bro. Like I was kind of taken back by that. I mean, we knew it was happening in the background, but to see that article come out, I was like, damn.
Well, that's the thing too. I think a lot of times when it comes to identity and our data, we know that these issues exist, but there's no better alternative solution, nor does there a solution that exists that's actually compliant and things like that. And I know, like hearing these words for us as like people who are just like, oh, I just want to trade. I'm not thinking about these things. You will when it becomes an issue, right? Once it starts being like, oh, you can't trade within these certain jurisdictions, or hey, you don't have access to these products because you don't meet a certain requirement. That all that is when identity and data becomes very prevalent, and it becomes, hey, how can I best control this information so that way I don't lose out in the future?
Yeah, for sure. It's nice to have custody and sovereignty over that, which is pretty dope for Jumper users because like you get to have that in like one UI in this season and just via gateway, and you get to use how you want to use that data and just enjoy the perks and benefits offered, pretty much just solving a lot of those problems that Ian mentioned that we face in Web 2 and the way that TradFi deals with things and this society deals with things at the moment. So it's pretty dope for that. And one of the things that's really exciting us over at the Jumper team is some new PDAs that we've issued over this launch of this season. There's so many more to come. You know, we wanna really hone in on recognizing the different contributors in our community If you're an ambassador, we want to reward you with some XP. If you're a helper, if you've been beta testing, if you've contributed with some dope memes, we want to be able to contribute some other levels of XP to you. So one of the big changes in doing that this season is we realized when we had these different tiers, novice, gold, silver, and tungsten last season, we realized it was pretty limiting. So we had a lot of questions come in about what is these new levels and how many are there? Well, it's kind of infinite, which is encouraging because you can have as much on-chain footprint as you want and continue to be rewarded and move up the ranks by doing that. So we have new PDAs that's dropped. We've changed from tiers to levels, along with the beautiful UI and a lot of changes that's happening. And I want to also say that we're going to iterate on what we currently put out there. We're going to have a global leaderboard and so many more different features on the UI. So don't worry, this is not only it at the moment. It's just going to get much bigger. And the reason why we do this is because we kind of see the importance of building community in this kind of model because it gives recognition to your contribution and you'll get reward for that, whether it's via different stakeholders in the multi-chain ecosystem and our network or in other means down the line. This is what this is about, recognizing your contribution and rewarding you for your contribution. And I wonder, like, in your perspective, because Gateway is now this B2B middleware, enabling different protocols to build community around PDAs. What's the value for you guys over at Gateway for building community in this way?
Yeah, I think that at the end of the day, a even with the business to business model, like that the thesis has to still be like how do we deliver value for the end users, and the community is the driving piece for that. That's all that matters at the end of the day. And what you touched upon, right, these new sorts of PDAs, these new sorts of rewards and incentives, that's where the importance comes in, right, is understanding, okay, now that we have an entire community using the platform, what sort of unique partnerships can we utilize or can we create utilizing PDAs? How can we drive people to be able to share this information with partner platforms, whether that's to be able to mint special NFTs or be able to go ahead and enter raffles or even receive USDC or certain tokens, things like that. That's like the really exciting piece. And so for us, we're just sitting in the background, right, as middleware, because all this are essentially transactions. So for us, we need to make sure that we properly build out the infrastructure to be able to sustain such data movement. And if data as an asset is going to be treated the same way that we treat our crypto assets, then we should be thinking about, okay, security, one, so making sure that your data is not going to anyone who shouldn't have that information, and then two, ensuring that your user experience is very seamless, right? And that's the biggest thing. And Jordan, we've been working on this for quite some time, so you've seen that, like the UX for us, whether it's users or other organizations being able to request that data or users being able to actually go through and share that information. The number one thing is it has to be super seamless, has to be simple. And so that's why we've taken this sort of middleware approach to everything rather than trying to be up in your face on the front end, because there's people who build front ends that are way better than us, aka Jumper, and we might as well let the make shoemaker make the shoe in this scenario.
Yeah, it's kind of like when you operate in this multi-community manner with different stakeholders coming together. It's like we each get to yield into our strengths to develop good products for users. Because at the end of the day, that's what we want to do. We want to improve this Web3 experience.
Yeah, and there's been like an interesting sort of dynamic that's growing within the Web3 community or within crypto as a whole, and that is that users generally do care more and more about the sort of control that they have. And I think a big thing that I like credit this to is how the wallets that are now being built out are focusing on like what is the simplest way for people to be able to interact with the blockchain. So, companies like Privy and stuff make it really interesting. But the idea here is like you shouldn't feel like you're having to create a new login, create a new sort of identity every single time you're going somewhere. And that's to me like a big piece of how we think about the way our product works and how we're building out our identity system is you shouldn't even think about, hey, I need to log into Gateway. I just that information just carries with you, so that way you can just permission it, whether it's with your Ethereum wallet or with your Solana wallet or even with your Gmail. It should just be something that just happens for you easily.
Yeah, that seamless approach is like pretty important, for you guys, for us to jump and our users as well. But just building in this model helps us not just build and be siloed communities, but actually be partnering with different communities and different protocols, which is what we strive to do, and build with others in the space, never just build isolated. So I want to touch on a couple of things for the next few minutes, just with regards to the season two of the loyalty pass. There's been some questions coming in, like when are the PDAs updated? What about the Lizard DAO NFT holders? When are they getting some PDAs? When are they getting their recognition? Like, great questions. So I'm just going to run through a few things. These are like nice to know things about the season two of the loyalty pass. So in terms of each PDA, currently your PDAs will be issued within the first week of each month. It did take a few days to issue all of them because we've got hundreds and thousands of users and we can't just issue these all on one day. We'd love to. Let's say March ends on the last day and it's the 1st of April. We can only start beginning issuance right then because we had to wait for the month to end so we can capture all the data on chain and give you the points that you want. So if you come into April and you don't have your March PDA just yet, although you should, because the Gateway teams helped us ship that pretty fast, just know that it might take another day or two, but within the first week, you're definitely going to get it. And the next thing is that the Lizard DAO NFT holders, these are our OG NFTs. There's a few of them that's been kind of minted over the last couple of years. You guys are going to get PDAs, but we're planning to drop these PDAs for you guys down the line, just because they're powerful PDAs and we don't want to unleash all the power right now. So there's going to be a nice build up to that. We do really value our Lizard DAO NFT holders from over the years. And yeah, another cool thing that's happening for everyone is that we going to have these dynamic PFPs that add on to our user profiles. So essentially what that looks like is if you go from level 5 to level 6, you're going to unlock new NFT traits. And on the current version of our new UI, you can't have this PFP as your PFP, but you will soon. And we're working on that. So you're going to unlock new levels and you're going to have new traits. But then you're going to ask, how do I move from level to level? Or you might even ask, how do I actually get points? Like, what is the point system? Well, we haven't really released that because we didn't want the system to be gamed, but I'll give you the kind of simple way to go about it if you want to get more points. It's all about bridging and swapping and exploring different chains and ecosystems on Jumper. So if you do more transactions with a bit more volume across a bit more chains, you'll get more XP. So do that and just know that the entry to XP is $100 because we think that's a fair entry to get XP each month. And I think any of us bridges in any case are bridging and swapping a little bit more than $100. So that's the entry level, but infinite levels just increase your transactions, size of your transactions, and the amount of chains that you're going on. And I'm interested to know, have you been using Jumper and getting some PDAs?
Yeah, no, I mean, I've been around since the transfer 2 days, so I'm probably one of the OGs that are complaining about the amount of points in my PDA. So hopefully, yeah, it's always like I think that a lot of people uh take for granted how much work you guys are putting into this. Because I've seen a lot of teams, especially when it comes to this space, when it comes to like the airdrop mentality, they just know that the users will come, and so they don't really work on customer satisfaction, if you will. This you guys have taken a great pride in making sure that you can address as many issues as you can, being able to issue new different types of PDAs and help, you know, make it fun for new and old users. So I give a lot of kudos to you guys. And I'm really excited for what's to come, right? And I think PDAs are cool. Keep giving me points, keep giving me new levels on my UI, on my loyalty pass. But I'm really excited for the rewards and the opportunities that can come from me being able to share these within the multi-chain ecosystem that you guys are building. Jordan, I think you're on mute, by the way.
Thank you so much. I was chatting to myself for a bit. I was saying like, yeah, so much to look forward to. Yeah, I'll just repeat myself. It's just me and my four walls that heard that. But um, what users have been asking like, hey, when can we look forward to a mobile-friendly loyalty pass UI? The devs are doing something and they're on it, and that should be out soon. I'll share an ETA with you guys via an announcement on Twitter, on X. But we are working on that. We wanted to just get this out because we know there was so much expectation and excitement for this new season. And we're going to get that mobile UI out for you guys. A lot of people have been asking, when does the season end? Season two. Well, it's been running actually from the beginning of the year, and season two officially ends on the 31st of June. We know that there's been some dates changing on the UI. It was actually an Easter egg that Pepe when season two, now season two. But yeah, the official end date of season two is the 31st or 30th of June. So that's the end season date. And as we approach the end of this AMA, I wonder, Ion, do you have any last thoughts that you maybe want to touch on with regards to Gateway? Maybe what's next for you guys, or anything regarding Gateway's partnership with Jumper?
Yeah, I think just on the end note, I think that users should continue to keep using Jumper as they have, and I'm excited for the new chains that you guys have coming up. I saw that there's some suggestions for other chains to support, so I'm really excited for that. And the second thing that I'm excited for is obviously the new rewards and incentives that you guys have uh, coming out. So just as a partner and as a user, I'm really excited to be able to start, going deep into your guys' vision for the loyalty pass. And lastly, for us, like if you guys are interested in learning more about us, you can always come and join our follow us on Twitter. You can join in our Discord as well and ask any questions that you have. But I think we're just scratching the surface about what data is. Loyalty pass is one example of reputation that you have on chain, but there's other points of data that will exist within the markets, especially as like these sorts of AI networks continue to get built out. Imagine being able to power and join in on the growth of that industry as you share data and get rewarded for it. So if that's something that excites you, I'd keep an eye out as well. And then as the RWA narrative grows, just being able to actually take control of certain information that you haven't before, like your credit scores or your KYC information. I can imagine that being used within the LeFi ecosystem as well at some point, depending on the partners who come and join. So a lot's going on. Highly recommend that you guys give us a follow. And I always appreciate the jumper community for giving us a lot of work to look forward to.
Likewise, we're pretty excited and bullish on what's happening over at Gateway. So yeah, you guys should definitely follow Ion, follow Gateway, and yep, keep tracking our partnership. We're going to keep shipping, keep building to give you guys the best experience and the best loyalty parts experience. Always give us feedback. We really love your feedback because we're building this for you. But thanks so much for taking your time out, community. We'll chat to you guys pretty soon. Ion, thank you so much for joining us here today. It's been a pleasure. And I guess until next time.
Cheers. Thank you. Bye, everyone.
Cheers. Cheers, everybody. Bye.